What's going on, everybody? I'm going to do a video on UPST just to do a little recap. Don't mind my insanely messy chart, but this is pretty much what it looks like after a trading day for me, depending on if I was scalping entries. And as you can see, that's exactly what I was doing. So last time that we talked about UPST was roughly around right here. And we were talking about this 1832 level in the 1807. Now, unfortunately, before that run occurred, I was not able to get in on that entry that we talked about, even though that was my biggest plan for the day, was to enter on a retest of the 1832. But you can see exactly where we ended up taking off from. When the markets opened up, we were at 1825. This was yesterday, I believe. And we ripped all the way up to 2025. Maybe that was that was today. This morning when we opened up. Was it this morning? Anyway, I'm kind of lost. I don't really remember what day it was. I think it was Tuesday that this happened. But needless to say, this was a beautiful move up. Now, it didn't work out for me getting in on this move that I wanted to so badly get in on, but that's okay because what did it do? Just like this market always does, it gives us another chance. So when I saw this thing rallied up there, I was like, you know what? I'm going to be busy today because today was a busy day for me. I wasn't able to look at the markets. So I just put my bids in there, and I had to trust that my TA was proper. And what I did was I put half of the shares bought at 1832 and half of the shares bought at 1807. Those are the two supports we talked about. That's why it's always good to chart your stuff out ahead of time, because if you do that, then you can pretty much, as long as you do them properly and you get good at it, you can pretty much know where the support could potentially be. So I took the risk and put my bids in. Now, we did end up dipping lower, as you can see, 1802, but we never closed any candle bodies above 1807, and that was pretty much where we bottomed out. So, I ended up getting a chance to look back at it as price was kind of moving back up. Once I saw that I was a little bit down right here, and then 1807 got filled, and then I started getting up as we ended up bouncing off here. It didn't take very long. But needless to say, we rallied in basically towards the end of the day. And we ended up finding resistance up around this 1862 to a high wick of 1872. We're still working on potentially maybe making another move up. Now, if the market rolls over here, we're going to be in a little bit of a tight situation now because we kind of have this uptrending sloping line where we had a bounce, then a nice pennant, this was earnings, and then a nice push, which we made a beautiful high up here, and then we ended up coming back down, made a falling wedge or a falling channel, and then we broke to the upside, what we were talking about, and then we got resistance on this downtrending resistance line, which ended up being 2022 area to 2025, and then we got rejected, came all the way down. Now we have higher low, and a higher low, potentially. So if we roll over here, and this just ends up being a rising wedge, we could come back down and double bottom off the 1807, and then it would probably look something like this. But if we do that, although that might look good, it won't be good until we actually built support above that 1862 area at that point. Because if this thing does come down based off of my idea in my uptrending support line, that might look like a potential support line break if this line is going to have confluence. And then it also kind of would look like this is a higher low, this is a higher low, this is a higher low. But then if we came back again and backtest the same area, you're kind of getting into a little bit of some scary zones because you could make a lower low if this did break down of some sort. So I don't know if I would probably test that idea at this point. But I'm kind of in anticipation that this is going to eventually, even if it does it slowly and confirm support above that 1862 tomorrow, that this could actually come up and retest this 1950 to 1975 would be the next downtrending resistance line, depending on how long it took to come up. I guess it's possible that this could just kind of chop on this uptrending line and then maybe gets a breakout later if it takes the market longer to kind of consolidate and chop around where it is now, depending on if we're finding a bottom right now. It's hard to say for sure. We do potentially have lower lows coming, but I guess it depends how we react at these new low levels that we've reached today, specifically on the SPY I was talking about. But anyway, so this is kind of where I'm looking at. Now, I know it's tough in this market and it's hard to come in and buy stuff, but I do kind of have somewhat of intuition that we are going to end up going back and retesting some of the highs that we were at last week. I just don't know how long it's going to take to get there and how fast and what the process is of getting there. Do we need to come down lower on the SPY, etc.? We can look at that a little bit, but another thing we can do just to clear everything on this damn chart, because it does look very scary right now. It'll make my life easier, your life easier, and all that, and I'm okay with deleting some stuff, and maybe we can get a better look at what's going on. So the last time that we found a bottom on UPST was down here at this uptrending line here I was talking about on the previous video. Let's just delete pretty much everything except for that for now. Let's go to a 4-hour and just kind of look at what we have. So we have this downtrending line, resistance touch, resistance touch, resistance touch. And then we had the down sloping, pretty much could almost probably clone this and maybe it'll work out. Put this right here. Yeah, it's not that pretty, but put it something like that. And then you had your down sloping channel right here. And we're just making higher lows and lower lows until we have not recently done so. So if this does end up failing and not making any higher highs from here, and this last wick was just a big selling wick, as it kind of looks like it for now on the 4-hour, then it's possible that this thing will break that 1807, close below, and that'll initiate our potential next attempt at 745, and maybe even come down as low as 1607, and then see how we react on that, because this is our key uptrending support on a 4-hour time frame. You have your first low here, and then you have your second low on the next red arrow, and then this might make a third low. We'll have to wait and see how this pans out for sure, because this is going to be a little bit tricky to figure out. If you drew like a line like that, maybe this is our downtrending line right there, and we have to see this broken too. That's kind of where we were at before. So is this going to just be able to turn into a potential W pattern and then bring it up to this resistance eventually, which is my hopes here of this trade, that we're finding support here, and this is the first bottoming action, and then this will be the second higher low that eventually brings us up to retest 2480 to 25 and see how we can react up in there. So we'll see how that plays out. It looks pretty good post-market. If we looked over here at some bottoming action lows, you can pretty much see all of this little bit of support, and then it just slowly flipped. This was support, then we flipped into resistance, and then we dropped. So, if you go through each of these consecutive areas, there is probably some confluence to some areas that we've been getting rejected at. So really we want to reclaim 2045, and then we have to work our way up. Obviously, there's a lot of work to do on this stock because it did have a very nasty fall from, as most of you guys probably know, if you're watching this, hopefully you were not caught up in this, and if you were, hopefully your stop losses were breached. I mean, if you look back, obviously hindsight's 2020. This is why trend lines are very important to me, because you could find stuff like this, especially on a 4-hour chart, that could potentially give you an idea of where is this trend broken and where do I have to get out. Each initial time, potentially, it could give you that kind of level. And even there, although it looks like it's breaking, you can see that the candles didn't really stay below it. Same type of thing here. So now we're kind of in this area where we have this uptrending, this upsloping support, and we just kind of have to see what's it going to do from here. Are we going to, is this going to end up being a fall down for another test of this support here if the market continues down, and then this stays and maintains itself, and then we continue up and we don't close anything below this support? Or is there a smaller uptrending support that we're looking at too, which is kind of like a little bit sloppier? But if this is going to be the support here, something like that, this is another potential idea where we had this fake breakdown and then we got back into it, and then now we're kind of reclaiming it as support right now, and we're just hanging on thin ice on this trend line, and we are going to end up getting a nice push off of it coming in the coming days, maybe get a rejection, work our way back down, so on and so forth, and then we can eventually get tight enough in this uptrending between support and resistance, and then squeeze and get a nice push out of it. That's where I'm kind of at. I'm not really looking at it, but I will keep this in mind that that's a potential possibility. Another way you could do it is just take from this wick to this wick, and then this could give you like your signal that way you can remember in the gist of it that like this support is still below right here, but if we break this uptrending support, this could signal the drop to here. So that is not too bad to think about. But this obviously is on a 4-hour. And looking at a 4-hour right now, even with the EMAs, you can kind of see what's going on here. We had support down here, 1802. This is the 21 4-hour EMA. We had the 50 period at 1862. That's where we were today. And we have the 200 EMA at 1873. So right now, we have been underneath on the 4-hour time frame. This is going to be an EMA analysis. When we were in the bull trend, we were holding the 200 period as support, and then we launched, and we pretty much held the 50 period, which is the red, until we got underneath it. We rejected off of it. This was your short entry, and then we fell through the 100, fell through the 200 on November 16th, 2021, and ever since then, we looked at the 21 EMA as resistance every single time. We tried to get above it, we were still under the 50, tried to get above it, still under the 50, then we started getting on top of the 50, it looked a little bit good. I mean, this is going to go through the whole thing. Every time you're under the 50, it looked like you got a dump. So now, come all the way back to where we are now. It's still, it was trying to get above the 50. You're under the 50 right now. So you could potentially say that, hey, but we're trying to find support on the 21 right now. We're just getting a massive squeeze. So this is exactly what I like to see. I have not come in here and looked at these EMAs to be 100% with you. All these trading ideas that I'm coming up with is just based off of my analysis, off of what's been going on with price, higher lows, different levels that I'm marking out based off of candle bodies. But what we do see, even on a 15-minute, is this 100 EMA. This is where we tried to get back above before. We couldn't get above it. You did get above it here, and you consolidated, but then you double topped and fell back down. So, EMAs are going to be important. And we didn't close below the 200 on the 15 EMA, which is, the 15-minute 200 EMA, which is around that 1802. And then your 100 is kind of where we're at right now. So if you're going to use EMAs, kind of flip between a couple different time frames, but you want to see a candle open and close on a 4-hour above 1873. This would probably give you a pretty good signal. If it has like a nice flat open like that, you'd be above all these EMAs. This could give you a real good lift. This could also just kind of roll in the next few days and then create potentially this W pattern. I didn't look at the daily EMAs either, but the daily, you have your 200 up here, which is getting closer to this resistance, so then that 24.75 could be in sight. But what are you doing here? On the daily, we're pretty much just hovering below the 21 daily and the 100 daily. That's where we're squeezed between. That's at $19. So it's going to be some massive resistance as we are getting pinched here. We are above the 50 daily right now, which is good. That's down at 1666. So you don't really want to go back down there. I'd like to not have to retest that, but this is my analysis that I'm giving you guys is right now in a very tight range just based off of the daily. So there's a lot that can happen right now. In this 1860 area, even though it's showing we're above it, 1860 to 1875 is the 100 daily. We do need to push above that, and we need to close above that. But this EMA price action that's all getting pinched and curling up and getting really freaking tight is looking for an explosive move. So is the explosive move going to be down, or is the explosive move going to be up? Obviously, that is to be seen. I will get stopped out if we end up dropping probably below 18 and starting to hold below 18. My trade idea will have to be wrong, and then I will end up cutting it. Maybe I might, I don't know if I'd give it down to 1740. I'll probably cut it if we started losing and closing below 1807. That'll be my out. And then 1631's below. So anyway, what about a weekly? The weekly. Right now, we are sitting right around the 21-week EMA, which is right about 1860. So that's why that 1862 is going to be very, very big. Now, obviously, all the EMAs on the weekly are pushing down, but our 50 weekly is at about $35 to $36. Not a bad thought for a trade if this can actually not get rejected here. This 21 weekly kept us pretty much in a bear market since we broke it back here on November 15th. And then we pretty much came up, we rejected. We came up, we rejected. And then we came up, and now we're trying to potentially hold it. And it almost looks like a nice little weekly potential flag. But this will be very, very huge for UPST to start making some moves while we're in this area. So anyways, guys, that's kind of where I'm at right now. I do like that on the hourly we are above the 50 period currently, which is roughly around 1819. And the 200 EMA on the hourly is at roughly 1836. So this will be something to watch. If we can get a pop up here tomorrow, 100 EMA at 1920, and then we know that we have 1975 as a downtrending resistance if this thing does decide to wick up. But we want to see the end of this week. We want to see UPST closing somewhere above 1860 to 1875. This will help us to get a better lift, but all these moving averages currently are pointing to the upside. So hopefully you guys, were able to let me know in the comment section if you guys watched this video prior to Tuesday and if you ended up taking any of that advice as far as the idea or going off of my thought. It's not really advice. It's just me thinking out loud on YouTube so other people can listen and see if maybe they think they like the way that I think, or maybe they can learn something. Even looking at a 15-minute, we have that pretty good support still from 1813 to 1833, just off of this previous rejection, 1841, down, come back up, a couple wick rejections, 1832, and then a rally, and then come back down, support, 1803, and we're coming back up, and hopefully we don't get rejected up here. But yeah, so this is just where what I'm looking at, and hopefully this trade does work out for us, and we can make some good money. If we end up getting a strong rejection up here, I might have to cut the trade up close to this 1970 to 1965, and then maybe it comes back down here and retest the bottom at 1775 again. I'm not sure how this is going to play out. So this is pretty much it for this. I'm not really going to get into anything else because this was kind of... If you guys appreciated this video, please leave me a like and a comment down below. Let me know if you're in UPST or if you're thinking about getting in it, or if you entered on any of the prices that I kind of gave for support and resistance. And, just give me a thought on what you think about this stock. If you think it's going to end up making any $25 move in the next, 2-3 weeks. Do you think we'll be at $25, or do you think we'll be at $7 or $16? Let me know what you think below of this video. Until next time, peace.